Good afternoon. I'm El Hassan Al-Rondouz from Aix-Marseille University, and today I will talk to you about food waste valorization to fight hidden hunger. Hidden hunger is a deficiency in micronutrients. This lecture was reviewed by Svark Gajic Jaroslava from University of Novi Sad in Serbia, and it makes part, the lecture makes part of several other lectures, about 30 lectures of AGRIMA. AGRIMA is an Erasmus Plus project funded by the European Union, and it involves 6 partners, 5 academic partners, Aix-Marseille University from France, University of Novi Sad from Serbia, University of the Aegean and with children from Greece, Polytechnic Institute of Porto, which is the leader of AGRIMA project, and an industrial partner, AVIP, which is an association of wine growers. I will try to give you a global situation concerning food insecurity and hidden hunger, then the strategies that are used to fight hidden hunger, and lastly, I will present the novel approach, which consists of using food waste to fight the hidden hunger. um, so according to the World Health Organization, there were uh, uh, 30 million deaths due to malnutrition in 2000, meaning that malnutrition is really a serious health problem, global health problem. And here some key dates and global action for food safety and sustainable development. 1945 is an important date because it was the date of creation of the Food and Agriculture Organization. In 1996, FAO defined food safety as being constituted by 4 dimensions: availability, accessibility, utilization, and stability. And recently, a 5th dimension was added, that is resilience, especially during the pandemic of COVID-19. At this time, some goals were set, for example, reducing by half food insecurity indicate. In 2008, Millennium Development were set that are to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger, to achieve a universal primary education, etc., etc. And especially to ensure environmental sustainability. It was so far, I think it was the first the times that we talk about environmental sustainability. And in 2015, there were 17 sustainable development goals which were set, and as well as 169 targets, such are SDG 1, no poverty, SDG 2, zero hunger, etc. Many of them are directly linked to our subject. Like, for example, zero hunger, good health and well-being, responsible consumption, production, climate action, etc. Let us to see now the situation, the global situation concerning undernourishment. Here, a graph from FAO report in 2015, we can see that the undernourished people were almost 1 billion in 1990, and it decreased to almost 800 million, meaning that the decrease was about 20%. And in the same time, the percent of undernourished people decreased from 23 to quite 13. This means that if we express as percentage, so the goal, the target was reached, but not if we consider the absolute number. The target is here far from the real situation. This is due to the demography. Demography increased too much as if compared to the decrease of undernourishment, especially in the concerned population. I mean, especially the developing country. Now, what happened after 2015, more precisely from 2014? As we can hear in this graph from the latest FAO report, we can see the phase of decrease here, this one. Then we can observe that this decrease phase is followed by stable phase, a phase during which there is no change from about 2012 up to 2019. But we can see here that it started to increase, and especially from 2019 to 2020, there was an important increase, quite 100 million people. And it continues to increase, although in lesser extent, before starting to decrease. This increase in phase is linked to the COVID-19 pandemic. But this period where there was no change here around 2014, 15, it is more difficult to explain. At least I didn't look for possible explanations. Okay, so in summary, the situation is not really satisfying. Okay, there are about 800 million people that suffer from undernourishment, that they have problem malnutrition. Okay, that is a deficiency of energy and nitrogen, etc. Okay, now what about the hidden hunger? Hidden hunger was first mentioned in 1994 by Chapman and Hall as being a deficiency of micronutrients. And there's others make emphasize on this issue. Okay, actually, the hidden hunger was mentioned earlier in 1947, but in another form, as a famine of quality by Albert Howard. Please note that at this period, all vitamins and almost all minerals were known. So far, I think that selenium and maybe chromium and other were not proven as being micronutrients. Okay, at this period. Um, so now I will show you some data from the literature concerning the deficiency of micronutrients. So concerning hidden hunger, according to these authors, there, there, there are there is 3 billion people which suffer from micronutrients or are deficient in micronutrients, and two-thirds of global population is affected by one or more minerals deficiency. According to Van der Straten, there are 2 billion people suffering from hidden hunger, and quite the same people, same number of people which are suffering from overweight. So in total, there are quite 4 billion people. Please note that here there are some discrepancies about the numbers of people. Here 3 billion, here only 2 billion. This type of discrepancy exists in the literature. The most affected subpopulation are women of reproductive age. Here, according to this order, in Africa, there are 2 women in 3 are concerned by micronutrient deficiency. The other subpopulation which is affected is children. And the deficiency of micronutrients seems to contribute significantly to DALYs. DALYs are disability adjusted life years. They are a measure of disease burden, meaning the life years that are lost due to disorders, deficiency, pathology, etc. Okay, so it seems that one children in 10 is low has may have some years lost due to micronutrient deficiency. According to the general consensus, the most concerned minerals are iron, zinc, iodine, and selenium, accounting for the former, for iron, up to 60%, which is really high. Okay. So let us to see in more detail the case of iron here. That here again we can see that there may be some discrepancies in the numbers. Here 60%, it seems maybe overestimated. So according to the World Health Organization, in preschool subpopulation, the anemia concern affect 47%, and quite 42% of pregnant women. So we can see that globally, almost half of population, some subpopulation, especially preschool children and pregnant women, almost half of them are concerned, affected by anemia. And the most concerned regions are Africa. 2/3 of preschool children and more than half of pregnant women, followed by Southeast Asia. And even in Europe, which is less affected, there's 1% in 5 is concerned by iron deficiency anemia. Okay, here an example of the situation of some population. In this case, the hemoglobin concentration is a marker of iron status here, expressed in gram per deciliter. We can see, if we compare uh, people from USA and from Ethiopia, children, women, and men, the median of hemoglobin concentration is higher in American people than Ethiopian people, especially for children. Okay, so here you can see that a large part of population is deficient in iron. Uh, um, uh, Either in children, women, and in lesser extent in men. Okay, um, what is the situation now for the other micronutrients? The situation is quite alarming. Again, as for example, calcium, uh, uh, 500 million people is affected by osteoporosis linked to calcium deficiency, and almost 9 million fractures annually due to calcium deficiency. Um, Seeing 17% of world population is affected, and as most as 24% in Africa. Iodine, 2 billion people are suffering for iodine deficient, and 1/3 of them suffer from water, especially in South Asia and Africa. Please note here that not only here for iodine, but all other micronutrients, that when we talk about deficiency, there are many levels of deficiency, and there are many levels of associated um, pathology, such, for example, water. There are many levels of water. Okay, some goets are not visible. All the goets, the severe situation, are really visible. Okay, um, iodine deficiency concern both developing countries and developed countries. So, for example, in Europe, they are estimated the deficiency of iodine was estimated to be um, uh, quite 44%, which is high. Selenium is one of the concerned micronutrients. Here, 1% in 7 uh, is concerned by selenium deficiency. Um, and selenium is associated by a specific pathology called Cation disease, which was um, discovered in China in 1930 in some regions of China, which the soil of which is really is very, very poor in selenium. And it seems that about 60 million people are concerned by Cation disease. As for vitamin A, according to the WHO, up to two, uh, 250 million people are at a risk of vitamin A deficiency, even if no ocular sense, because vitamin A is associated with ocular problems, especially xerophthalmia. Okay, um, this situation is more dramatic in the case of vitamin D, since it seems that half of population is vitamin D deficient. So, according to this data from the literature, there is a really serious problem with deficiency of micronutrients, and a large part of global population is concerned. So, the good news is that uh, due to global actions, that there was many actions that that succeeded in decreasing hidden hunger. Like, for example, iodine deficiency would decrease by 13% from 1990 to 1819. And the same is true for iron and iodine and vitamin A, sorry. So for iodine, here we have 13% from 1990, and here we have 0.69% per year from 1999. So there are the same trends that it decreased. Almost here it decreased more than here. And the same is true for vitamin A and iron. Iron decreased by 0.5, about 0.5, whereas vitamin A decreased, more importantly, 3.5 per year, meaning that here we have 20 years. So the global decrease could be quite 60%. It is important, so a real success. And dailies, I mean, the incidence, the loss of years due to the efficiency decrease as well. Here in the case of vitamin A, 2.18, in the same range, although it is less, because this is a consequence of this, okay? And there has many examples of such success, like, for example, in Ethiopia. Ethiopia was really targeted by many studies with dealing with deficiency of micronutrients. And we can see here that iron, vitamin A, and iodine decreased, and iodine decreased for more than 90%. So this show that when we we bring means, we put means, we get results. It works. How we got this results, good results, the success, is due that many global actions of giving micronutrients to populations. There are several approaches, methods to do this. The first one is supplementation, meaning that is to give the micronutrients as in form of pills, capsules, etc. There in pharmaceutic zone, I mean that the doses, the concentrations are higher than the needs, the nutrition needs. So it can cause some metabolic interferences. Iron, one of the oldest mineral to be supplemented, and it needs further exploration for getting more efficient outcomes. There are some limitations of logistical type, like, for example, expertise and strategies, planifications, etc. Economic, money, it needs investment. Acceptability too, see one of the limitations, because some people doesn't like, refuse to use pills or other forms. And also there are some accessibility constraints. I mean that some zones are far from cities, etc. The second approach is food fortification. It is an old approach. For example, iodine was added to salt since 1920. And iron and vitamin A was added to cereal flours, especially wheat and maize, since a long time, many decades. In this case, we need a vehicle meaning that is wheat, flour, for example, or salt. We need a fortificant form, so the chemical form for micronutrients, because micronutrients exist in many forms, some of them at least. And we need an implementation strategy, planification. It is one of the most largely used, and it contributed significantly to the reduction of hidden hunger, as we saw in the previous slide. Especially in folate, vitamin B9, iodine, and zinc, among especially in Africa. Here again, there are some constraints of economic, logistical, and socioeconomic point of view. Biofortification is among the emerging action, because here are conventional approaches used since a long time. Biofortification is relatively recent approach, developed especially since the 1990s, and there was many successes, example of success, like for example, golden rice, rich in beta carotene. Beta carotene is precursor of vitamin A. This approach is based on the addition of micronutrients, both by conventional methods for crossbreeding, for example, or by using genetic tools for biotechnology, for introducing specific gene that is expressed in specific protein that will be enhanced by availability of the micronutrients at the absorption level, transport, etc. We can also act by decreasing inhibitors, for example, phytates that are present in plants and are chelators of iron, of zinc, of minerals in general, that so they hinder, they trap them, and they are no more absorbed. The other way is to increase enhancers, like for example, ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid is an enhancer of iron absorption because it reduces iron from the ferric form to the ferrous form. The ferric is not absorbed, the ferrous is absorbed. There are specific transporters. This strategy seemed to be really very interesting in economic point of view, since according to some others, we can have $17 for each dollar invested. And it seems to be more appropriate for some micronutrients like this selenium, for example. And the last approach used, and the most recent, is food-to-food fortification, meaning we mix in foods, one rich in one micronutrient and the other rich in other micronutrients, and we get a mixture which is of at least two micronutrients. Food-to-food fortification derived from the flour fortification initiative, set first for wheat and maize flour, and then extended to rice flour and other foodstuffs in 2014, and only recently in 2020, we had a proposition of definition of this approach, as well as the other proposed a framework of implementation and the best practice for this approach. Here again, there are many constraints, but not the same, because this approach is accessible to everyone in all world regions. In my opinion, the main limitation is of communication type. Here, an example of this approach, that of using two foods, whole grain pearl millet which was mixed mixed or not with moringa leaves, which are rich in minerals, with baobab fruits, rich in enhancers, including organic acid, as for example, ascorbic acid, with mango and papaya, rich in beta carotene, among others. So these others mixed this and used extrusion cooking process and an in vitro model for mimicking digestion. And they found that this mixture has high bioaccessibility of iron and zinc as compared of this one alone. So the mixture is a real an interesting example of success in terms of bioaccessibility. Bioaccessibility is mean that these minerals are more liberated from the food matrix, and so that they may be absorbed. Another example, more interesting one, is this of Rani and et al., which used mung bean-based meal mixed with fresh guava or not, alone or mixed with fresh guava, and gave this mixture or alone to children from India, and children which are deficient in iron. And during 7 months, and they succeeded in increasing hemoglobin concentration. This is a real success, but not stores. So stores is more difficult because iron is stored. Is stored in liver, among other compartments in the body. So here, an example of success. It works, and maybe that in other studies well done, maybe we can increase iron stores as well. Okay, so now we come to the um, scope of this lecture is to use food waste for fighting hidden hunger. So what is available? The material is available. As we saw, lastly, there are 1.3 billion tons of food waste per year, which is produced, especially from fruits and vegetables, from seafood, from cereals, from all food resources. So there is material, and there are also many valorization methods, techniques, which are sustainable and which target safe economy. I listed here, I show some references of these methods. In general, most of them are general reviews. It summarizes the literature on the subject. So we can find all details concerning implementation of this strategy, this novel strategy. Because when I started, I got the aid of using waste for fighting hidden. I was not sure that there was many data concerning this, but really I found that there are many researchers that started to explore this idea, which is a good thing. So here I show you here 3 examples of this literature data. The first one consisted of mixing sunflower oil press cake with waste side streams, wastes. Both are rich. This one is rich in bioactive lipids, and this one is rich in very high quality proteins. And they use simple process, and they were able to improve proposed that by this way we can improve the circularity of the value chain, and they we can develop innovative ingredient platform. This word attracted me, ingredient platform. It is quite in line with the subject, with the scope of the lecture. Okay, and they also make an emphasis on the to be careful with safety and quality control. That be sure that there is no issues of safety concerning safety and quality. Okay, another example is that of Buffet Darko et al., which mixed many waste, food waste from vegetables, dairy, animal, etc. And they propose to use both conventional and emergent processes for getting functional ingredients for food safety, the same thing as the ingredient platforms. And the last example, which seems to me interesting, is that of Ait Kadur et al., which proposed to use Industry 4.0, which is based on the use of artificial intelligence and Internet of Things for getting again nutrients and bioactive compounds. Okay, but here one be careful with artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things, because we can find many things in this resources, and sometimes it is hard to distinguish between the true and the false. Okay. Okay. So what is needed now? We need expertise, and we need financial support, money. We need a robust strategy. For example, the PDCA methodology called Deming wheel. Deming wheel is a methodology based on 4 steps and continuous improvement. Plan, P, D, do, check, act. In the plan phase, we have to define the team, resources, vehicle, key indicators, business model, etc. And in the do phase, we have to implement the approach, mean to adapt, to optimize, to improve, to etc. Okay, and in the check phase, in my opinion, is the most important, but because we have to control that we are in conformity with the allegations, meaning the chemical composition, and of be sure the absence of safety concerns of hazard, and also that it is to do an economic assessment to be sure that it works. Okay, and in the act phase, it consists of registering the outcome, the result, and also to identify point to be improved, which in principle it has been identified during the implementation phase, and then to plan again for another cycle in following continuous improvement. So ideally, the team should be constituted by as many contributors as possible. I mean, students, researchers, teachers, industrial, citizens, important, managers, etc., etc. And during the implementation phase, to use a rational and realistic strategy, based on solid data, and management could be participatory or directed, both of participatory and directed, um, to target local and regional areas and make security and the environment and the heart of the project. So by this way, we could be able to transfer food waste and byproduct to um, a valid fortified mixture by micronutrient, which can be used for many sectors, like health, nutrition, etc. So if all is going well, we should be able to reduce hidden hunger and to reduce greenhouse gas emission toward carbon neutrality in 2050, since food and agriculture is main contributor to gas emission, greenhouse gas emission, global gas emission. We will be also able to promote sustainability and to create knowledge, jobs, etc. Um, and also aid to reach sustainable development goals like no poverty, zero hunger, etc., etc. Okay, um, so now please take a minute to evaluate our lecture by using this QR code, or using this link by scanning this QR code, or using this link. Uh, I wish you were interested in this lecture, and I wish that you will contribute, you will participate, you will act for reducing uh, uh, hidden hunger. Thank you very much for your attention, and have a nice day.